Psalms 48, just verse 1 and a little bit onwards, okay? 1 to 2. It says, great is the Lord and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion. Mount Zion is the place of the overcomer, and that's what basically that scripture is saying. I don't want to say any more about that, but I hope you overcome in doing good. And we fall a lot of times, and I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, and I'm going to get out of here and start working my butt off. I just want to do this video really quickly. So as you can see, the title is DCEU, the past, the present, and San Diego Comic-Con. Let's start with the future. San Diego Comic-Con, really exciting time. We're going to see Aquaman. You see James Wan here preparing for the trailer. And here also we had a poster that just recently came out of Aquaman. So let me hear your views on that. Are you excited about Aquaman? Are you excited about what you see in the posters and stuff? I personally, I'm not as excited as other people. I see some people that are just losing their shit and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, all right, it's okay. And I'll tell you the reason. The real reason is because with Aquaman, I expect effects like here. He's underwater. He's not on land, and it looks like he's on land, and these things are kind of floating around. So, and then I don't like really, the color scheme's a little bit different. You could tell Industrial Light and Magic had their hands on this. So it reminds me a little bit of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, when Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin and all the others, they went undersea into the underwater event. So I haven't seen anything new per se. And then this style by Industrial Light and Magic reminds me a lot of Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok, the sort of detailing that you get. And so it's, while it's cleaner and it's better resolution, I don't know why Warner Bros. Seems to be going the MCU route. So I'm not exactly hyped about it because it's like a look I've seen before, whereas the DCU has its own kind of look. So there's all those things going on. But yeah, I'm going to give it a chance and see, but I'm not highly enthused like other people are. I wasn't blown away. And then again, it's underwater. So I expect the light not to fall like that. It's falling straight down. And, Aquaman, there's no waviness to the sea or nothing like that. So it's kind of like, it's kind of dry to me. All right. It feels dry. It should be wet. The other thing is that when I looked at the Shazam preview, there's a little leaked preview out there of Shazam. I see that they're going the comical route. Literally, Shazam's going to be a comedy. It's going to be a slapstick comedy, kind of like Marvel films. And so I feel like Warner Brothers is going the way of Marvel. And if they keep on doing that, they're going to lose me. I'm just saying. But anyway, San Diego Comic-Con's coming up, and Zack Snyder's already down in San Diego. So that's really cool. That means he'll be down there like he is. He's always a comic book fan, so I expect him to be down there anyway. But the other thing about it is that hopefully we hear something on the Snyder Cut. And because I really, we need to get that Snyder Cut. So hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Leave that comment in the comment section or in the chat section. You're free to chat up a storm inside of this video. Let's keep it moving. So there's another thing I wanted to show you guys before I get on to. So we're talking about the past. But before I talk about the past, one more thing I want to talk about is that the DCEU has had a certain kind of look. And I feel like there needs to be variety in comic book movies. This hee-hee-ha-ha shit is not my thing, okay? And the DCU was appealing to me because none of the movies so far have been comedies, all right? Now they're going to straight up do a comedy with Shazam. Shazam is, if you have to do it with any character, Shazam is that. James Wan said it was going to be a swashbuckling adventure with Aquaman. So he's been consistent with what he's saying, so I get that. But at the same time, I'm hoping that the kind of layer and the depth that we got with Zack Snyder, that somehow that will still be in the DCEU, and that they kind of retain some of the look even. Because I thought Aquaman in Justice League looked fantastic. The underwater scenes, again, they cut a lot of those underwater scenes, which annoys the shit out of me. Then you have Aquaman we saw in BVS, and again, it felt grounded and realistic. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to give it a chance. This is just a poster. And the little shots that we saw, it was behind the scenes stuff. It looked dry. Let's see if we can get it wet. And let's see, hopefully this thing doesn't look unrealistic. There's a certain unrealism to the MCU, and I'm hoping it doesn't be duplicated because we're using the same company, Industrial Light and Magic, instead of the other company. So we'll see. All right. So that's what I have to say there. Now, going back into the past, BVS. Now you can see the color quality, first of all. Beautiful color quality. Look at this shit, man. And, just to give you the level of detail Zack Snyder is into, man, this car that Diana was driving, it's known as the 2016 Alfa Romeo 4C Coupe. That was the car that came out that year. And beautiful, exotic, sexy, sporty sport car. It's a sport car, right? And it's in mid-engine, V12 sport car, Alfa Romeo. Beautiful car, exotic car, incredibly expensive car. And this shit was dope. Okay. And I was seen leaving the charity event, the Cake Beat that Lex Luthor had, the charity event for books, to raise books, fundraising for books, right? And Bruce Wayne was chasing down Diana. She goes inside the car. Of course, Gal Gadot can drive very fast cars. We know that from Fast and Furious 5. And she just speeds off. Beautiful. So really like that. Enjoyed it. Absorb it into your system. If you want to have a closer look, let me just show you very quickly. Look at this car, man. Woo! Almost looks like a Porsche from the side in a certain respect. Look at that thing. Very aggressive looking car. Definitely a exotic supercar. This is a supercar. Okay? Not just a car, it's a supercar, right? That's what they call them. Look at this beautiful thing. Look at this thing, man. My goodness. And here it is from the front. It kind of reminds me of a Porsche. It reminds me of a Porsche. And they just kind of changed up the grille. So it almost looks like the styling of a Porsche. But what a beautiful car. What a beautiful car. Yeah, I just wanted you guys to see that a little bit closer. All right. So, Zack Snyder takes that kind of attention to detail. And I thought I was talking to you guys about this before. And so I just want to show you some more of that detail in his use of symmetry here. He uses symmetry between BVS, which is above, and Justice League, which is below. I want to show you the symmetry. And then every time Zack does something, there's a significance to it. And I just want to mention a couple of things. One, I don't know if Zack Snyder is a Freemason, but I've seen some Freemasonry things online, and even the venues, some of the venues he went to in Detroit, like the Mason Temple, the Masonic Temple, which was almost closed. And they shot certain scenes, like, with Diana, when, she was inside of the hotel, she entered and then the fight club where they were having the fight. It was in a certain part of this Freemasonic temple, which almost got closed down, right? And also, if you were paying attention to the Smallville scenes where they were in Plano, Illinois, there's a building with a Masonic symbol on it. And it actually has the comic book stuff in there. So, John King, shout out to you, John King. You were absolutely correct about there's a Masonic analogy to it. But why is Zack Snyder not so much liked in Hollywood? Hollywood's Masonic. So why is Zack Snyder? Because I think Zack Snyder, if you guys know Lecrae and Tadashi, these are guys that went into, fraternities and lodges and those kinds of things. And they've preached Jesus Christ to these guys in a language they could understand. So that even if you were a Freemason, you can see how that Masonic stuff actually points to Christ. Remember, there are multiple meanings. And yes, there's a sadisticness to Masonic teachings as well. And another thing that's very interesting is that if you go to Detroit, there's actually a satanic temple that was erected there to Baphomet. And literally they have a statue of Baphomet there. So yeah, it kind of makes you have a pause and say, what side is Zack Snyder really on? But then Zack Snyder, you always see him pushing Christ. He pushed a lot of Jesus in his movies. So it's a benefit to me, whether some people may interpret it negatively or positive, to still speak on it. But it's interesting. I'm just saying. So I just wanted to say to John King, who's talked about the Masonic stuff that was going on in there, that you have a point, because I actually went onto a site with something called Rosette. It was a breakdown, a deconstruction of Batman v Superman was done by a lady named Rosette something, and she's like a Freemasonic kind of person, and she breaks it down in Masonic symbols. Again, it doesn't really say anything negative about the movie. When you break down all the symbols and everything, she doesn't say anything too negative. But still, at the same time, it's just something where to bear in the back of your mind. Now, let's talk about this. So everything that Zack Snyder is known for, attention to detail. Every shot he takes is very detailed. He's very deliberate about what he does. So that's why I said, and it's very interesting when you see this BVS and JL, you see the symmetry here. Now, the symmetry was kind of incomplete, but let's just get to it. So the first thing we see in Batman v Superman is Bruce Wayne arrives in a conservative but vintage, again, a very expensive Aston Martin 24DB Mark III, which is really a 1957 version, which is actually Zack Snyder's car. And it's very interesting. This is like a collectible, and it's a very wonderful looking car, but at the same time, it's not a supercar. It's not super flashy. It's not a super flashy car, and it seems as though he took time to get a beautiful coupe. It's still, you can consider it kind of like an exotic, but at the same time, it's not flashy. He arrives in that car, and Diana leaves the charity event with great speed, by the way, in a sporty, all right, Alfa Romeo 4C coupe, which is a supercar, which I just showed you guys, right? Beautiful car, right? Silver, right? Now, what's interesting about that is it basically flips on its head in Justice League. In Justice League, Bruce Wayne leaves Barry Allen with an exotic, sexy, really sporty-looking Mercedes-Benz AMG Gran Turismo, which is really a concept car from a video game. Supercar. It's another supercar. He leaves very fast again. Both cars move up very quickly. Now, the thing that I said that, I would have loved to have gotten a comparable shot like this from behind. It just so happens these two shots are almost comparable, same angles and everything. And this shot here is not, it does not parallel this shot. And the reason is because Warner Bros. Cut out that scene. Joss Whedon and Warner Bros. Cut out that scene, which is why we need to release the Snyder Cut, because Zack Snyder painstakingly does certain scenes. And we know that this scene was extended because we saw the ad for Mercedes-Benz, and we know they actually pull up and you see the back of the car, and then it pulls off with great speed like this car did. So that it's very important to understand the symmetry involved there. Pulls up with great speed, supercar, right? And then this one here, again, more conservative car. It's not really a sporty car. It's a beautiful exotic car as well, a collector's car, but it's a Mercedes-Benz E-Class. And this time Diana pulls up in a more conservative car. So here she leaves off with a supercar, right? Sexy, exotic, flashy. Here she comes up more conservative. He comes in Batman v Superman more conservative. He leaves sexy, flashy, supercar, right? Now, here's the interesting thing. These guys pull off really fast. These guys come in really nice and slow and conservative, right? Now, my question to you is, why would Zack Snyder do something like that, right? There's always meaning to this. It's just random events that Zack Snyder's pulling together. He's saying something. He's telling a story. Whether you're a Masonic person who looks for symbols, or whether you are a person who reads the Bible, or whatever you are, there's a symbology to things, and sometimes multiple symbology to things. So my question to you, first of all, is why does Bruce in jail have a flashy car, but Diane doesn't, but has it in BVS, right? Here, flashy car here, here's flashy car here. Why are the cars pulling up, you guys? Give me your opinion on that in the chat section. By the way, you can talk in the chat section. Give me your opinion why you think Bruce Wayne arrives and Diana slowly in a conservative car, right? But leaves, they switch roles, but they leave in a fast, flashy supercar. They come with a nice, exotic, beautiful conservative car, and then they leave it a supercar. Why is that? And Zack Snyder is saying something there. So I want to hear what your guys' opinion are. You can leave it in the chat section. Let me just check the section and see what you guys are saying in the chat section here. Nimish PK, hello, Chris. I'm not Chris. I'm Anson. Will you stop calling me Chris? I am Anson. Okay? Anson is my name. A-N-S-O-N. Anson. Dave Ethan. It's actually Anson. Nimish. There you go. Thank you. Nimish PK says, okay, thanks, Dave. Shout out to you, Dave Ethan. Shout out to you, Nimish PK. I'm watching you guys. You can leave your comments right now about the cars. And what do you think about that? I'm going to give you one of my reasonings for it. All right? I'm going to give you one of my reasonings for it. So in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Bruce Wayne comes to the cake beat for a reason. He comes to get something, but he's not coming to get it in a honest, straightforward way. He's coming to steal something, right? So he's going to roll up in there, not very fast to attract, and he's not coming in a car that will attract a lot of attention. All right. But Diana, she steals the stuff from Bruce, and she needs to get away really quickly. And how does she get away really quickly? With a really sporty supercar. So she steals it and she's gone. She doesn't, it's not about getting attention. It's about getting out of there fast. All right. That was in BVS. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Bruce Wayne had to go all the way to Central City. Gotham's right next door to Metropolis. Bruce Wayne had to go all the way down to Central City, and he had to get the Flash. Now, if you know anything about the Flash is very, very fast. So it almost is fitting that the car that the Flash would leave in is a very, very fast car. And we know this car was very fast. Again, unfortunately, the scene was cut. You're supposed to pull up by, the cross section there. You're supposed to see Central City Airport, and they were supposed to speed off to Central City Airport, right? Really, really fast, right? So the speed was very, very important there. Whereas Wonder Woman was going to see Cyborg. It's right next door. Gotham City's right next door. So it's not very far away. And two, the most important thing is she is really there to convince him. And she there's no need for a lot of speed because he can fly away anyway. She just needs to convince him. Now, the other thing I noticed is that there are vehicles in this scene with the car approaching. When the car is approaching, there are vehicles. But when the cars are leaving, there are no vehicles. And I find that very interesting. Now, again, my reasoning. What is it that Zack Snyder is saying, and why did he flip the script, right? So, what Zack Snyder is saying, in my opinion, is this. Arrival in BVS, the Arrival in BVS, and in Justice League represents the individual approaching the situation. Okay. However, the departure, the individual has gotten what they've gotten, and since it's a pressing situation, they are rapidly leaving the situation. But they've gotten what they need. So if you look in the beginning here, this is you're going to apprehend something. And so you're going to be cautious. You're going to take your time to apprehend it. But once you've got it, the execution is rapid. And that's what that's what I get. So when Bruce Wayne, once he apprehends, and notice he doesn't show the scene where Bruce comes to where Barry Allen lives. No, he shows Bruce leaving with Barry Allen. Similarly, he doesn't show Diana coming to the cake beat. He shows Diana leaving the cake beat. Diana represents the person who has apprehended. They got what they wanted. And when you get what you want, you move in fast. Whereas these two here did not get what they want. Bruce Wayne, he did not get what he wanted. Diana stole it from him. And here, Diana, when she came in, she did not get Cyborg on her side immediately as well. So these two, they move in slow. You get what I'm saying? It's about apprehending. So to me, this symbolizes what Zack Snyder is saying in a very, and when you go into more details, you'll be able to understand more, because there's a lot of details in both of these things that I haven't even talked about. And I'll talk about it in a minute. It's about apprehending. So when you come in, when you're going in to apprehend something, you're not going in recklessly. You're going in, and it's not about speed. It's about getting it. And once you've gotten it, now you can execute rather rapidly, and it's like learning something. When you're learning things, you take your time. But once you've learned it and it's en route, that's when you just speed up and you go really, really fast. Now, there are a couple other things I noticed, and I just wanted to have you pay mind to, and I think they're very important things. The first thing is, if you look here, there's a lot of greenery in BVS. A scene is set around greenery. Whereas here, this scene, even though it's in the fall and you see leaves and you may see a few trees, it's a concrete jungle. So in Justice League, there's a concrete jungle, meaning urban, city. Here, this is more rural, laid back. And my understanding of things, I mean, you could give your understanding if you wish, is that the greenery shows a certain degree of fertility, a certain degree of richness. Whereas here, there's actually barrenness and a certain emptiness to it. And I sense that the world at this point in time was in a worse situation because of Steppenwolf. Whereas here, there was no threat at the time. Lex Luthor was maybe the only threat. There was no threat in the world. Superman was there. Things were, yes, they had to recover from 9/11, but for the most part, the world was going okay. All right, so that's what I see, the years of greenery here and the years of famine here. So that's just what I saw. Maybe you guys saw some other things. Leave your comments in the chat section. I'm going on to something else. All right. So again, Zack Snyder is known for his level of detail. You guys haven't said anything. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go to here. This is just in BVS. I'm going through BVS, and then this pass, and I'm just showing you this is the kind of stuff Zack Snyder does. All right, this is the level of detail Zack Snyder gets into, and that's why I love the DCEU, and that's why I'm saying Aquaman. I don't expect it to be that detailed or to have that kind of thing, but I expect it to at least look organic. Okay, give it an organic look. This look does not feel organic. Okay, I'm just being honest with you guys. This does not feel organic. This reminds me of the MCU, and this does not feel organic. But this is a poster, so I'll let it pass. But it doesn't. It went an organic look. You know what I'm saying? And this is very organic, so organic that it's actually an actual place in Chicago. Okay, this is the actual address of the place: 336 S Dearborn Street, Chicago, Illinois, 604 USA. When I flip the photograph, it's Harry's Sandwich Shop, which is found there in Chicago. And this is literally Harry's Sandwich Shop. Now, they say this is from Metropolis. It's supposed to be a Metropolis scene, but I just thought this attention to freaking detail, man. I love it. 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 And then I want to talk to you guys about the DCEU in terms of, we're talking the past, present, and future, right? And I'm trying to separate. I want you guys to understand that there's so many different looks in the DCEU, even in the DCEU trilogy that we had. There were like 3 different looks for the same place. And so, for instance, in Man of Steel, I love what they said on social media concerning this. Let me just look at that. Okay, that's nice and sharp. Look at that. Oh, let's go. Gorgeous. Look at that thing. That's gorgeous, isn't it? All right. So in Man of Steel, you see this particular look. This is Lois Lane going to the Kent farm. This is where we actually see the Kent farm. And it's beautiful because you can tell this is somewhere around noon, the middle of the day. I remember somebody actually engaging the conversation on this. We get it from the post box, but you can see the house in the background. This is the smallest viewing of the house you'll see in all 3 of them. Okay. A house in the background. The trees are all green and lush and wonderful, and the airs of corn on the side. This is probably springtime. It's beautiful, right? And then we have here, or summer. It could have been summer. Then we have Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice view of the Clark farm, the Kent farm, right? The Kent farm. And this time you can see the grieving, the loss. You can see the trees have lost all their greenery. You see they've lost all their leaves. The corn is all brown. The cinematography is bleached. All right. You see the sun in the background, but it looks like it's evening. It doesn't look like it's the middle of the day. All right. And then here in Justice League, we get back the color, but the trees are still bare. All right. And we get the biggest view of the house so far. So this is a little bigger. This view is a little bit bigger than this view here. You just pull up. So this is the smallest view here we have. And then it gets a little bit bigger. It's a different angle, but you can see it's the same road. There are cars on it. All right. This is the funeral of Clark Kent. You see the house, the buildings in the background, the little building here and the big one. Let me show you there. See the little building right there, the big one there, and the other buildings behind this building. This is lush and green here. This is, you can tell, this is lost. So there's dried out and everything, kind of skeletal. But in Justice League, we actually get that sort of skeletal view showing that there was death and now there's a rebirth. And you can see Martha Kent's truck coming down the road again, the tractor right there. I don't know if you guys can see the track. There's the tractor there. No, there's no tractor this time. Anyway, and you can see this is like a sunset or something, and a sunrise or sunset. The sky is still red, and there's the house in the background. I love this view as well. But 3 different looks, 3 different oh God, yeah, it's 3 different oh God, I don't know how many cinematographer. Gosh, my tongue's tying up. Cinematography. I think cinematographic. I think I'm just too many symbols. It's confusing. It's tying up in town. Anyway, the point is there's 3 different looks to this, right? and 3 different times and 3 different seasons, it looks like. And that to me is beautiful. So this may be spring, this may be spring, this may actually be fall, and this may actually be summer. This may actually be summer. It's just fantastic. So I just wanted to share that with you, the different seasons, but more importantly, the different times in Clark Kent's life, as well as his mother's life, the Kent's life. Actually, it's different times in the Kent's life, right? So here, of course, this is where Lois Lane is greeting Amar Kent. Clark is not there. He's out. She's trying to find Clark, okay? Clark is not there. And it's interesting that it parallels pretty much Batman v Superman, where Lois is still there again. She's there at the funeral, and Clark is there, but he's dead, right? He's dead. There's a dead Clark there. And then in the final one is where Lois visits the thing, and here now it's Martha visiting the thing because she no longer owns it, and Clark is alive. Right, he's alive and he's strong and he's powerful and everything, and she's so I just find this really beautiful because these are different seasons in a person's life as well, right, and people surrounding them. And so I just find this a beautiful, again, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about with the DCEU. There's a lot of symbolism, there's a lot of meaning, and we don't want to lose sight of that. You remember Suicide Squad is probably my least popular DCEU film. Wonder Woman is the next best. And then we have Man of Steel, and then we have Batman v Superman, right? And Justice League is somewhere, somewhere right there. But the point is that at the end of the day, these films have a certain degree of rewatchability. And I know Warner Bros. Wants to make money, but Warner Brothers, again, this is to you, Warner Brothers. You got to please not stray completely away from what you started with. And I'm just hoping that's not what the case. And I'm hoping at San Diego Comic-Con we hear something about the Snyder Cut from Warner Brothers, from AT&T, directly, okay? And Zack Snyder as well, and anybody else. Because we deserve it. And I hope there are people going out with I Love Zack Snyder t-shirts, and I released the Snyder Cut t-shirts. They need to go out there and express that. You may not say it yet, but somebody's going to ask the question. And even at some point in time in the San Diego Comic-Con, people should say, I love Zack Snyder. I would like the Snyder Cut. Somebody set up a chant like that or something. And, no, really, seriously. They need to make it vocal. They need to be as vocal as possible about the Snyder Cut so we can get it. Because visual style, I want visual, beautiful style. And TNJL says, sup, homies. Nemish Dave Anson. Nemish PK says, oh, maybe Wayne's keeping a low profile in spite of his riches since it's a charity event. And Diana's trying to fit in being flashy. Also shows an independent woman's status, just all by herself. Right. I do believe that Wayne is actually shout out to you, Nimish PK and TNJ Ayala. I do believe he's trying to be subtle. He's not trying to be obvious, right? That's for sure. He's not. He said, Lex Luthor, when he was talking to Batman, he said, look at us. This is how it all caves in. Civilization on the way, manners out the window. That's what I said. Civilization on the way, manners out the window. But actually, it wasn't civilization on the way. It was actually this. He said it's civilization on the wane, as in fading away or decreasing. Civilization on the wane, as referring to Bruce Wayne. Isn't that cool, guys? The Batcave and his manor. Manners out the window. Manners, Wayne Manor. So he was really using a play on words to say, I know who you are, Batman. You're Bruce Wayne. And I know about your Wayne Manor, how it's broken down. And I thought that was just so dope. Like, that's such a play on words, man. It blew